Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center with the super duper sensational Sean. And of course, we have our wonderful guest tonight. That's a little inside joke because Jamie comes on with Sean, CC, and she always has some superlatives for Sean, how wonderful he is. So I give him a little bit of stuff when I come on all the time. That's a little inside joke there. So it's been a while since you've been on. How are you doing? Always good to see you.
Oh, it's been great. Had a very busy summer and been traveling all over the place. I went to Minnesota to Canterbury Park this summer, and
Tell us about that.
Well, that was the most expensive education I got with ever walking away with a certificate.
Why is that? What happened?
Oh, it was a very tough track. Definitely a different type of track. Lots of very talented horses coming from the East Coast, and my horses just did not adapt to it at all and just really didn't take to it. So it was a really big challenge for me over the summer. It was a great learning tool. It was definitely a great lesson. Not one I really care to repeat financially, but my horses are just now getting back into form. We're over here at Turf Paradise now, and we had a good couple of weeks starting rolling in. The horses are really starting to come around, and I'm liking the way they feel, and they're really happy to be here for sure.
If I had known you're up in Minnesota, it's not that far from here. I might have come up and said hello. But tell us
that's why I didn't tell you.
Yeah, you want to stay far away from me as you can. Believe me.
Rich, you're really echoing there.
Is that me that's echoing?
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna hop out. I'll come back in, and then I think it went away now, right? I don't hear it now.
Yeah, okay. You're good.
So yeah, I'm not speaking through the echo machine anymore. I put the Dixie cup away. So
come on, boys, get it together.
Technology, it's terrible. Tell us about your day today at Turf Paradise.
So today we had my little black filly. She's not to blame. I had her going out a mile. I found out at Canterbury she really does prefer this distance, and I turned her on the grass over there. She loves the grass. She loves the dirt, so she's quite versatile. I ran her the first weekend, opening weekend here on November 5th or 6th, and at 5 furlongs just to give her a race. And then today she ran a mile and finished third, just got beat for it. So I was really proud to see her really hunker down and fight for it. So that was a really great to see. And then I ran Bourbon Tan, who I bought privately over there in Minnesota, Canterbury. I bought him from a trainer at Prairie Meadows, and he's just a really cool little horse, super cool. And he came from a really big barn and just kind of was looked over. So he's really coming around since I've gotten him, and his top line's filling out, his hips are filling out, coat's coming back, and he's really starting to show something now. And I ran him on the grass today. I ran him 5 furlongs when we first got here opening weekend. Again, just give him a race. He likes to stretch out, so I ran him a mile and 16th, and he went straight to the front by about 4 or 5. Fractions were way too fast, 22:45. That's too sharp on the grass, but it was really exciting to watch. He's just, honestly, I bought him for $1,200. So to see him go out there and just perform, he's made the money back for me already. So I just have a lot of fun with him, and I really enjoy watching him run. And so he just come around the turn, coming from home, and he just started to get covered up, but that was really fun to watch. So what I'll do with him is I'm going to bring him back to 7.5 furlongs, and you'll see he's going to be very sharp.
So it's funny that you say that, because I was going to ask specifically about that, because before you came on, Sean and I were talking about it, and I saw that race, and I was looking for you, and I was disappointed because
we know when those come out, those red pants, there's something to be looking for.
That's right. There was black pants today. I was like, come on, CC, you're making me look like a liar to all the people.
No. We said when I'm super live, that's when we'll see it. And guess what? In December, I got my very special horse running in December. Guarantee you'll see those pants that day.
So when you see a horse go off in 46, when I'm sitting in the cold, dreary, wet Chicago, jealous of the people in T-shirts down at Turf Paradise, but even at my desk up here, I see 46. I'm like, yeah, I want your horse to win because we're rooting for you.
Sure.
And I see it go at 46. I know it has no chance at that point. What are you thinking?
Well, I wouldn't say he wouldn't have any chance. I'm just, it's just going to be a big challenge, and he'd have to really dig in deep. Actually, when he went to the turn, he actually went to make another little move, and I was really, really excited and impressed with that. But however, I did see that when he came around the turn, he had wore himself out, and this is where the difference comes in, where you have to have a jockey that has a really good clock in their head. Now, not to discount the rider in this particular instance, because this is their first time on him, and it takes a couple rides, I feel, to really get the rhythm of the horse, understand his pace, and to know where you can really pull him in, push him, et cetera, et cetera. So she'll ride him back. I'm not disappointed with her ride at all, because I actually said either go to the lead or sit third or better. And she did exactly what I asked her to do. A little too far on the lead, but that's okay, because the horse, I know the horse very well. I get on him and he roots, and so he pulls on you. And if you fight him, he's going to fight you back. And he did that with Jose Zanino the first time here at 5 furlongs. So we kind of just let him do his thing. It's just kind of up to her to slow him down just a little bit. And she'll do that the next time.
And cutting back a little bit of distance, I think, will be helpful too on that one for
yes,
sure.
This is he actually loves a mile, and again, he's one of those horses that you can kind of play with at any distance, and he's going to give you something every time. And when he ran 5 furlongs, he ran 5th in that race, and so Zanino said stretch him out, so we did. Mile 16 kind of came up. I would prefer the 7.5 or the mile, but again, we'll come back to that 7.5 and guarantee you're gonna find us right there in that hunt.
That should be a red pants day that day then, huh, Sean?
Yeah, I'm feeling that for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, see, now we know why she didn't wear pants. She wasn't quite sure if her horse was going to win or not. So
I have plans. That's why.
So
I don't want to set a false alarm.
There you go. She saved us a few dollars. That's what she did. So you mentioned Canterbury. So if you were ever to go back to Canterbury, or if another trainer is going into Canterbury, what would you do differently?
I would get an entirely different string of horses now, and not to insult my own horses, but what I guess everyone else has to realize, I got all my horses either bought privately at Los Alamitos, or they came from Los Alamitos outside of a couple of cheap claimers from Emerald Downs and Golden Gate. So I'm asking my horses to really climb up out of a hole that they were in, and having a small barn helped me, really kind of get into their heads. And that's why they perform better than what they really should be doing. So I give my horses props. It's definitely not their fault. It's not my fault. It's just that they've been down this whole pipeline before, and I'm trying to pull them back through it. So, but I definitely need a stronger caliber horses, which is why I claimed one when I was out there. Claimed one for 7,500. Broke his maiden 1 by 5, and that's the day I claimed him. So I ran him back. I took a chance at Santa Anita, and to see what he could really do. But honest to God, he was just way too tired from Canterbury to turf and then over to Santa Anita. He was too tired. I ran him back yesterday, actually, and he ran 4th on the grass going a mile. And that was his first time on the grass. So he's coming back. He's feeling good. I would just definitely need a stronger string.
And that was another question. Now you train at Los Alamitos, you run at Canterbury, you run at Turf Paradise. Do you train any different with those tracks, or how does the training go with them?
And then that's a great question. And so, yes, that's what I realized when I came from Los Alamitos. I mean, these horses are running 1,000 yards. I wanted to level up, not level up, but that's not an insult. I wanted to get my horses to be able to stretch out. And so I was getting to that point. And so that's what I was kind of using Canterbury for. So when I came back to turf, I'd kind of have that under my belt already. Because at some point, within the next year or so, I do believe Los Alamitos is going to close, and I want to kind of get ahead of that curve, which is why I've been trying to stretch these horses out and, bring something more out of them. So going into Canterbury, they weren't quite as fit as I should have had them. They didn't have enough training under them, because obviously, going 1,000 yards, you don't train that hard. So at Canterbury, I spent that entire summer after I realized what I was up against, getting them more fit, training them a little bit more than they're used to training. And I will say the humidity bit me a few times. It caused a couple of my horses to bleed, because that air is so heavy, and that track surface itself has a lot of black clay in it. It's thick, it's heavy, because they have to hold, that track has to hold up to every type of weather you can imagine that comes to there, and God knows it did, short of snowing. And my horses had trouble getting through it. It was heavy. And I'll tell you one thing, when I first ran them there, and they came back to the barn, it was like they'd never raced their entire life. They were breathing that heavy. It was very, very fatiguing for them. And so that was a big lesson for me to learn. And I've tried to draft that into my training now. And that's why I think this meet here at Turf Paradise is going to be really good for my horses. And I'm going to see a lot of improvement coming in.
Now, you mentioned Los Alamitos. About what gives you that clue about Los Alamitos?
Well, not to. Okay, Doc Allred, it's a privately owned track, and Doc Allred, he's had it forever, and it's on a clock, And so, it has its own timeline. And not that anybody wants to see that track go, because it's one of the most richest quarter horse tracks in the United States. And so everyone wants, that's a fantastic track. And it's done me well. I don't want to see it go, but I do know it has a timeline. So it just has to do with the private ownership.
Well, maybe you can win enough races, you can buy it.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say, when I was racing there last year, for me, since as you all know that I own all these horses myself, and except for I have a couple outside horses with owners, but predominantly they're all mine. And that allowance race that they have every weekend, the purse is 22, 21, 25,000. And I won a couple of those 2 or 3 times a month. And I mean, I was making 25, 30,000 a month because I own them all. So I was like, that's how I would build up on my barn, because I get that money to turn around and go buy something else. But when you get down to these other tracks, like say Turf Paradise, and your purse is 9,000, it's 12,000, it's, you're not taking home a lot, especially if you're not winning. So you've got to really be on your toes and on your game to really get up to that front end.
So when you travel around the country, what do you put them all in like a trailer and drive them around? Is that how you get them from place to place? So if you see a lady driving by in a trailer full of horses, that's you?
Well, you know how I roll. I send them all on a plane.
Okay, good.
Said me never.
Yeah. All right.
No, I have a private hauling company that takes 12 at a time, and we just orchestrate that, and great outfit that hauls them back and forth. So I'm really happy to have them. Really, really good outfit.
Well, because I saw on your Twitter, you're on the 4-wheeler, and I can imagine that. I could just, in my mind, see you with the trailer behind you driving across the country like the Mind That Bird guy with all your horses.
Hey, if I look like the Beverly Hillbillies coming in. I've got everything stacked, piled, dragging, pulling.
Well, that's okay. I mean, everybody has their way of doing things, right?
Well, actually, the thing is, I've got a really nice 2-horse trailer that's I redesigned, and I used all that to put all the equipment, all the supplies, everything else. So I pulled that in from California to Minnesota while the horses were on the van.
All right. So I was just kind of curious how all that went and how people drag their horses or how they get them from place to place and taking them across the country.
Well, you know what, when I and I know I just interrupted you, I apologize. When I would run at Los Alamitos or Turf Paradise, I'd ship my horses myself back and forth. So when I was predominantly at Los Al, I would just throw them in my 2-horse and head on down to Turf, fortunate enough to win, and then go on back like the rock star.
Yes, a rock star, indeed, for sure.
Well,
absolutely. Well, speaking of a rock star, red pants to red wine. Let's talk a little bit about
the wine. Yes, I should have. There it is.
There it is. I see. I'm ready for you. You got nothing on me. So tell us about the. I was kind of hoping you'd be a gin girl, but okay, wine works. So tell me about that.
Hey, well, right now I'm a vodka girl. So the wine, it's made out of Sonoma. It's at a private winery, and they bottle it for me, and they do the private labels for me. And I had a lot of fun with that. A lot of people, they really got on board. They bought them all. Matter of fact, I sold out. So, and I've got to do a reorder, but I did sell out of that. And the wine glasses, I sent 2 wine glasses with the bottles. Some people really leveled up. They got a T-shirt, a hat, the wine bottle, the glasses. I mean, they bought a whole package. And just really good reviews from all the wine. So I had fun with that while I was in Canterbury, because if you're not winning races, you got other things to do on your time.
I saw that you spent some time out at a waterfall or something like that. Did you spend a lot of time out in did you spend a lot of time out in the wilderness out there?
Well, I really had to walk it off a lot, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, it's a beautiful place to land at 10,000 Lakes. I went there as a kid. Long time ago.
That's why the humidity is so damn bad, though, because of all those damn lakes, and that really gets those horses. It makes it hard to breathe. There's no doubt.
Absolutely. I had a lot of. I'm echoing again, Sean. Go ahead.
I don't know how you do it.
Magic.
CC, you got any other tracks you want to visit, or you have on the radar?
Well, you know what? Right now, I'm just having come out of Canterbury, and that's a long trip. Let me tell you. Wow. That was 30 hours on the road. That was a lot. And right now I'm just going to focus on Turf Paradise because I really want to make this kind of like my home course. I'm not sure will I go in the summer this year. I will not go to Canterbury, this summer. But I actually you may find me back at Los Alamitos running those sprints and giving my distance horses some time off. So that might be my radar, or try Prescott. We'll see. It's early. Well, it's late in this year, but it's early to be thinking about it. So I haven't quite made my mind up yet. I will not do Emerald Downs. You won't find me there.
Seattle.
It's too much rain. It's too cold.
What about like Southern California? Because a lot of those fields are very short now at Del Mar or at Santa Anita.
Well, you know what? Still, it doesn't matter. It could be a 2-horse field. If you don't have the caliber of a horse, it won't matter. So just like, for instance, when I sent Guest Check over there to Santa Anita to run, because he shows such promise and he's so consistent. And I thought with his talent being on the East Coast as it was, that he could competently compete against a Santa Anita horse. And he didn't get the best of ride, but that wasn't the whole problem. He just couldn't handle the talent. And so hence the reason why he's back over here at Turf. So it's go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going. I don't interrupt.
No, I was just saying, I didn't give him 100% an honest chance because he was so tired. Would I try him again at Del Mar? I would, but I need to see a little something more from him. And I just feel he's coming back. His energy's back up. He feels good. He's eating well. And I think he's going to run really well here the next time. I definitely would keep my eye out for him this next time out.
So before I interrupt, and I only interrupt Sean. I don't interrupt the guest. But John De Silva, we got a lot of folks vying for your services. He says, we need CC to come to Parks.
Oh,
and then
he always said,
John, talking about a trip. That would be 30 hours.
But if you come to Parks, you're only an hour away from me, and I will definitely go to Parks that day.
Then she's definitely not coming. And then Terry says they come on up to Golden Gate. So you have a lot of people saying, come on up.
Well, you know what? And I rode at Golden Gate, and so I had a good time there when I won some races there. Northern California was really good to me as a jockey. So I don't have any problems with that. So in the whole fair circuit they had up there was Santa Rosa, Ferndale. Oh my gosh. Oh, you just name it. It was fantastic. I had a great time. But I like the warm weather. I'm kind of a sissy that way.
Sorry, I like the warm weather too, especially when it's 30 degrees and wet outside. So Grandma Horse Racing says, what about Remington? So looks like you got a lot of choices. Maybe these folks have a place that you can put up your horses. So Grandma also wants to know, when you take those horses a long way, how does that basically affect or impact the horses? How long?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a great question. So typically what they say is a trip in the trailer, say like a 6-hour trip, is basically like running a race. So that's why you'll find people will ship in early. So you figure that going to Canterbury was 30 hours for me. The first van ride out there took 3 days. So they stopped every night, gave the horse a rest. It actually took my horses longer to recover from that kind of trip to be able to race, as opposed to when I sent them back here, it was only one night layover, and they kept their weight. They bounced back quicker and were ready to get back to training a lot sooner. So it does take it's variables, and you've got to look at all the different options and what really kind of works best for the horses you have. Would I rule out Remington? Absolutely not. But Grandma, if you want to get a horse with me, I'm open to that too.
Yes. Well, John De Silva says that he's known you for quite a while. She's awesome and talked a lot about stuff outside of racing. Beautiful.
Oh yes. So John and I go way back, and he's always supported me. Absolutely. And he's great to have as a friend. And so he's seen everything with my son growing up and with the horse racing, and me as a jockey, and me on TVG. So yeah, we have a lot of great history. He's a fantastic guy.
So you've done a lot of different things. Are you planning on staying in training for a while, or are you kind of thinking about some other things?
Oh, well, no, I'm definitely going to stay with training as long as I can keep the forward momentum. And, I'm always looking, to have a new owner in the barn, which I, always think that's exciting. But definitely, no, I just basically kind of stepped away from racing and to raise my son, because racing is a lot of crazy hours, and as you can see, we travel a lot, and it was just my son and I. So that's why I started at the law firm, worked there for 8 or 9 years, did TVG for 3 or 4 years, and so I had a consistent schedule. But now my son's old enough, he's on his own, and it's time for me to do my thing, which is what I love. Training, I'm good at it, and it just always takes the stock, and it's unfortunate for trainers when you don't have the stock, because they think, oh, she can't train or he can't train. But that's not true. Not always the case. You just need the really good horses.
Absolutely. Well, everybody tells us the same. Sean and I always have this argument about, I've won this argument 10 times over, but.
No, you didn't win the argument.
Yeah, we did. Easy, because I asked jockeys, and jockeys always say the same things.
two different ways of going about this argument.
But anyway, when we talk
but
to
you know what?
jockeys,
The same thing for a jockey. It's the same thing for jockeys, and I'll probably say it too. You're only as good as your horse. And while the boom, right? Ta-da! It's very
that's the
true.
argument that we have.
But
you know what?
I see.
Hang on. I was a long shot rider, so I brought in the 30 to 1. So I actually won on a horse that was 129 to 1, and I won on the horse 2 weekends in a row. He actually won me the title, and this was at Los Al. But the thing is that you can only do so much for the horse. I mean, you can carry him, and this is where a really good jockey comes in at the end. If he can pick that horse up, and if the jockey keeps his weight positioned over the withers instead of the middle of the back, which is fatiguing, but if he picks up that horse, gets those reins right up behind his ears, and carries that horse, that's where your jockey's going to make a difference on a very tiring horse. But again, you can only do so much for the horse as a rider. You still have to have the horse underneath you.
I agree with that. However, I will say, like you said about the long shots.
In a race.
No.
Are you going to tell her what to do?
No. But you see the same jockeys win with those price horses. You've seen no. You see same jockeys win with the long shots. You see the same jockeys that are 5% jockeys when they do get the favorite, even though saying the favorite they're the best horse on the paper. The jockey doesn't win with that favorite. So I understand that a jockey can only do so much with horses. Absolutely, I understand that. But at the same time,
but you still need to be a good jockey. You still need to be a good jockey. So you're right. So, okay, like you're just saying. So if your horse, your jockey is on a favorite, he's never been on there. And if the jockey's just so, he's probably going to screw up your favorite, and it's like the jockey still has to have it in his head. He still knows how to read the form. He's got to know where to place his horse. He's got to know when to ask his horse. He's got to know how to finish his horse. And he's got to know everybody else in the field and what challenge he's going to come up against. So yeah, he might screw up your 2 to 1 horse if he's not a top-notch jockey. You've got to know.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've learned, and actually it does work when you have one of those lower percentage jockeys and now some lower percent jockeys, they just didn't get the chances. But if okay, they're really not that good, I play against them all the time, and you make some money that way.
Well, and here's the thing. I had to hustle my own book because, as we all know, it's challenging for women in this industry, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And I can read a condition book. I knew where horses could go, where they fit, where they belong. And I hustled those horses hard, which is why my win percent was really good. I had 24 win percent. I mean, I was always right there. So, what's this? Go ahead.
This is what you're talking about. So I just
exactly.
You're talking about being a female in a male-dominated business. So
and
I put that in there to fit in.
Yeah, and I'll actually answer this. I actually stayed away from dating during that time frame because I didn't want people to think that I got a horse because I was dating the owner or I was dating the trainer or anything like that. I mean, I ran a solo ship, blinkers on, because I wanted to know that I did it based on what my talent was. I didn't want to have someone say, oh, blah, blah, blah. And that's unfortunate because that's what happens to women at the track. So I stayed my course very heavily. And that's why I said I hustled my own book. I put myself in the right spot with the right horses. And that's why I was able to do as well as I did when it was my time for racing.
Mm-hmm. Another question another comment really from John says, wait till you hear the reality show that he has for her. So I can't wait to hear that either. So you can't tease it. Now you're obligated to tell us what it is, John. And then
well, you're probably gonna have to block John.
Oh yes. It's a family show.
Yeah. Okay, so what does it say? As a trainer, what?
So Charles here is a trainer too, and he says as a trainer, you're only as good as your horse. Sometimes the support of your owner. And then another question from here, or a comment again from Grandma. Says he has a theory called Filly on Filly. That's female jockeys can get more out of female horses. It's a complete theory. What do you think about that?
All right. So, and that I like her comment. So here's the thing is another thing about with the fillies, mares, etc., is that they don't like to be aggressively handled. They don't want to be whipped. And because they're just built differently. I mean, the ovaries, the whole thing yards, the whole female designs with these fillies and mares, it's different for them. And they want to be finessed more. So one thing I ever did is that I hand rode a lot. And I always compared myself to Alex Elise back in the day because fear factor, yes. Because Alex Elise was a big time. I mean, he was a hand rider, and he would bring those horses home. He very seldom ever used a whip, and I watched him because I rode with him at Sandy Dip, and I always remember this compliment. One day I came back from the race, I'd won, and someone said, "You just put a Solis on that horse," and I thought, "Yeah, there it is." Because that's how I feel. It's like those fillies and mares, if you just finesse them and you just get in their head and you just carry them. I very seldom ever rode with a whip. I rode with a whip, but I didn't use it. One time I did use a whip is I belly whipped a horse one time. And I just went boom, boom, boom. You know, when you didn't have to worry about the counts and all that garbage. Sorry, it's not garbage. Sorry, Hissa. With all those things.
There's a knock on your door right now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, doorbell's ringing.
Hissa, we're here to help.
Yeah, boy, you helped get me out. But no, but I belly popped him, and that's probably the really only time I ever really got after a horse. I just was more about finessing them, and it really works with the mares and fillies.
Do you think, because I see a lot of jockeys do it too, especially when they're out of whips now, they kind of just show the horse the whip, and it seems to work just as effective, kind of showing them and getting close?
Yeah, if you flag them, absolutely, because what it does, it brings their focus back to what they're doing. And if horses have been whipped by them, they understand when they see that it's probably going to be this here behind them. So they're like, all right, I'm moving, I'm going, and it does keep them give a directional horse, for the horse.
Speaking of directional, the last couple of days, I've lost a few races where the horse is coming down the stretch and they cock their head to one side. It's clear they're looking for something to come, usually to their outside. As a trainer, if you see a horse doing something like that, like looking for other horses as it's coming down the stretch, are you going to put blinkers on that horse, or what are you going to do with that?
No, I don't really. All right. There's a couple of variables about that. So let's just say you've got to, just like you were saying, you need to look down. Is the horse switch leads?
I think in one case it did, in another case it did not. It was clearly looking for another horse because the jockey kept getting its head straightened out, and you could see, like, as the horse was coming up, it was.
I would have to see the race to give a fair review on that. But typically, when you see a horse with his head cocked one way, it's the rider trying to pick up that horse and plop him into that neck, into the right lead was where he needs to be. Mm-hmm. And also, if the rider has loose reins and is not uptight behind his ears, horses don't like to have sloppy reins. They need to feel the bit in their mouth. And so if the rider's just kind of like loosey-goosey and throwing crosses at him and everything else, yeah, the horse is going to have his head looking left and right for sure.
Mm. So Grandma wants to know, what do you think if the whip went away? No more whip. They tried that in Monmouth, and that didn't really go over that well, I don't think.
And you know what? And that's just going too far. And horses do. Just like children, I mean, you need to have some sort of control. You need to have some sort of direction, something that helps them, give them guidance. You can't just go willy-nilly out there. They're not running in the damn mountains and in the hills. You've got to have something that helps them, remind them what their task is and why they're there doing their job. Just like if you got a horse drifting, he's kind of drifting out of the turn. That's where your flagging comes in. Just like you said, flag him, and that horse like, oh yes, and then he drops back in, which is what he's supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good to have a professional view. That's what we have here at Community, so people can come and ask the guest, get some good insights.
It's just great.
Yeah, so get more insights as to what's going on at the track, behind the scenes, what the trainers are thinking, what the jockeys are thinking, what the owners are thinking. So that's the whole idea behind the show, right, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of riders, CC, I always think, hey, Barrington Harvey, he's like retired. And then all of a sudden he randomly shows up and rides for you. So talk a little bit about Barrington Harvey.
Oh, Barrington, that Jamaican, he just makes me chuckle so much. He is so easy going. When he comes to the barn, he's got Jamaican music in his pocket and he just brings good energy. We race rode together for years on the Northern California circuit. And I mean, I beat his rear end a few times and vice versa. And so when he came back, and I come back as a trainer, us two together, I mean, he's won, 5 out of 6 for me. And because it's just a perfect flow. He knows what I need. He knows what I want. He rides as aggressively or as, backs off as much as I need him to do. It's perfect. And now he's been riding out here a couple of times at Turf Paradise. So he just let me know today that he's going to be out this weekend. So I'm trying to find a horse for him to throw him on there for sure. And plus I'm going to ship in a couple to Los Al, and he definitely will be the rider for those.
So I was going to ask, is that another hint, since he's 5 for 6 and he's only, you like him, but he's only rode 6 times. Is that another hint that you're really live if you're using Barrington Harvey?
You can guarantee it. Because you know what, with Barrington, and actually I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't use Barrington on the horse at Santa Anita, because I know I would have got such a genuine, honest ride, which I don't feel that I did in that particular instance. And I don't know why I didn't do it, and I kick myself for that. However, I do know when I leg him up, he knows exactly what I want. He's going to do exactly what I ask, and he's going to give 110% every time. So yes, when you see him on my horses, you go to the window.
John De Silva wants to know how often you get on your horses now.
Every morning.
Every morning. So speaking of horses, you have one coming up on the 19th. What is that? That's
Elemental. And so Barrington has won on Elemental, and he won with me at Los Alamitos. And I took her to Canterbury with me, and she's one that I bought privately because I feel like she wasn't in the best barn as far as it was giving her the best opportunities. And when I bought her 2 weeks later, Barrington and I went with her going 1,000 yards, coming out of a 2.5 furlong race is what this trainer had her in her forever. I take her, Barrington and I get on her, pop her from the gates, put her in the race. She wins by 5. And so I brought her to Canterbury with me, and she's the first one that actually bled on me here in Canterbury just through the humidity. And she's never bled on me before. And you wouldn't be surprised. And that's why I get disappointed that they want to take Lasix away, because they don't realize the value of actually having Lasix. Not that Elemental ran without Lasix, not saying that. But however, I do think that Lasix is very valuable, and I hope they don't ever take that away, because you need to be a horse person to understand how it works. So moving on, so Elemental, I took her to Canterbury, and I really discovered that she's so big. She has so much legs. She liked the grass a lot, and she ran second on the grass, going 7.5 furlongs for me. And this is a mare that's been running 2.5 furlongs for almost a year. So I'm super proud of her. And so she's running 7.5 furlongs on Saturday. It's a big field. And Zanino's just getting used to her and getting to know who she is. That's the jockey. I hope she performs well, but okay, here's the insight on her. She's very timid and she's insecure. She does not like to be covered up by the horses, and she starts to back out of it. So she's kind of one of those horses you need to have the front end. You need to be up towards the front. Otherwise, she just kind of crumbles on you. And it's kind of a far distance to go up there and push her to the front and expect her to hold it, kind of like what Bourbon Tan did today. It's hard. It's hard to do, but that's her only style. You've got to have her up close. And I've had blinkers on her before, and it just doesn't behoove her. It's just not her thing. So that's why I've taken her off. I get on her every morning, and I give her an opportunity to like really have some confidence. And so it's really working, and she's really coming out of her shell, so to speak.
So it's not going to be a red pants day?
Won't be a red pants day, but don't be a red shirt day.
All right. Well, hopefully it wins. I mean, so we can go for a few surprises here and there.
Well, you know what? I don't think she's going to win, and not to say that she doesn't have the chance to win. I want to see an improvement. I want to see her keep moving forward and keep turning to like a real racehorse instead of like a 2.5 furlong horse, which Thoroughbred, that's not their wheelhouse. I mean, come on, that's silly. And they're not designed for that. They're not quarter horses. They're thoroughbreds. They need distance. And I like seeing her. She's really, like I said, she's just coming out of her shell. She's shining. And I'll tell you, when you used to saddle her, the old trainer, a lot of times she had to get scratched because she'd flip in the paddock. I mean, she was just that kind of a horse. And so now she saddles quietly for me. She feels good. She goes out there. She goes to pony well. She warms up nicely. And so for me, everyone's always about the win. For me, what I like seeing the progression. And that's why that's why I enjoy when I'm doing so much, because I can see the progression and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm on the right track. And if I can make their lives better and then find them a home after this, more power to me.
Indeed. So Grandma says, one more question, Sean. So you were a jockey before, so you went out and you were talking a little bit earlier about hustling to get your book. Now you're on the other side of that equation. So you're the trainer now. So when it comes to jockeys, do you have agents calling you, or are you going out and getting the jockeys yourself? How does that work for you?
It's some of both. If agents really like your horses and think they have a shot for it, they'll come to your barn and try to hustle your horse. However, for me, it's all about the personality and style of the rider. Will it fit my horse's personality, my horse's style? If they're too aggressive and I have, a horse that doesn't like to be overrode like that, no, I will choose a different type of rider. And so I have full control over who rides my horse as far as making the choices. It's up to the agent at that point to decide if they want to ride the horse. But predominantly, yes, they will for me, because my horses they'll give you the 100%, absolutely every single time. I don't have a horse that ever goes to the track and doesn't put every full effort in.
I don't know what that means, Grandma. Do you get hustled? So that would be, can you elaborate on that a little bit? Sean, what else do you have in mind tonight? Because I know I
So
interrupted you like twice already.
It's okay. I'm used to it. CC, so you said about a progression of the horse and stuff like that. So when the horse isn't flipping back, is that just doing it enough times to get the horse used to it that's not flipping back? Is that something you're doing different than the previous trainer did? How does that work?
All right. So and that's I like that. So typically what it is when horses aren't given a chance to really, okay, let me back up really quick. So people are big lip chain handlers, the grooms, etc. It all really starts from the ground, and it comes all the way up to the point of like who's handling the horse, who's getting on the horse, who's training the horse. It starts at a very small part. And if you have a groom that not a big fan of his job, doesn't really care, and he's always mishandling his horse, or he's rough with his horse, it escalates to the point when you go to the saddling ring, etc. So you've got to really get in the horse's head. Again, this is the beauty of me owning them all. You get in their horse's head, have the right people at the end of the lead rope, and having the patience. And when the horse has confidence, it's going to work for you. If they don't, you might as well take it back to the barn. It's not going to work out for you, which has not happened with this horse. This horse has not had the opportunity to run a couple times because it has flipped in the darn paddock. And that's unfortunate. And to see her now, I don't saddle her in the stall at the track. I mean, at the paddock, I actually saddle her out the side because she gets claustrophobic. And those are the kind of things you need to look for and understand. And so I bring her outside of the stall, tack her up, put the first girth on, let her walk around, come back, put the overgirth on, and off she goes. But so it's just, and that's what I'm saying. It's like people, oh, you didn't win today. Like, no, but I know what I've done today. I see what she's doing. I see where she's going, and I see she's going forward and not backwards. And so that's what I like.
That's interesting you say that too, because I've been at the track where they're doing things a little different when they're not doing, they're doing it outside the paddock like that. And I would have never guessed that that's why they're doing that.
That's exactly the reason. The horse it's too confining. There's too many people around them, and they don't have the confidence. And the horses they're flight animals. They're not your kitty cat over here in the corner. They want to get the hell out. So if you accommodate that and you help them to have a peace in mind, you're gonna do a lot for yourself and for the horse.
So John wants to know when you return to the track.
Can you tell John to get off the damn feed?
Well, he's got ideas for you, and you said that we couldn't put him on here, so we got to get the G-rated stuff up here. But anyway, when you got back to the track, what was the biggest adjustment that you had to make?
Oh, when I started galloping, I realized I felt like I was 300 pounds. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't hold a horse. I couldn't do a damn thing. Oh, my God. It was so unfit, and it was just disgusting.
I don't think you can ever be 300 pounds. I think that's a little bit of an exaggeration.
And the way I felt and the way I was breathing, you thought I smoked a pack a day.
Half a pack's not bad. All right, so there's another one here. Tommy Two-Tone. Did you listen to Tommy Two-Tone's music in the 80s?
What is your opinion?
What's your opinion on jockey whipping a horse needlessly that has 10 to 12 lengths in front and is obviously going to win? There was that one horse that you showed me the thing, Sean, where the guy was running down and then he whipped the horse bucked and threw him off, and they ended up losing. So
it was an apprentice jockey.
Right, you know what? He had that coming then.
How bad would you? Let me rephrase that question. If you're the trainer / owner, your horse is up by 10, and the jockey gives him and the horse gives him a see you later, and you lose. Would you have to have like the police physically restrain you from that person? What would that be like?
Hey, it gets dark everywhere.
So you're gonna go Tanya Harding on him?
Hey, I don't have a bat in the car for no reason at all.
Well, you need those for sure. Everybody needs a little bit of protection at times. Absolutely, 100%.
But you know what? It's disappointing when a rider, because what happened is at that point the rider's gotten so excited, he's forgotten where he's at. He hasn't checked underneath to look to see how far ahead he is, and now he's just hell bent for leather to win the race. And shame on him, because now your horse is actually performing and doing exactly what you want him to do, and he's winning. And so why the hell would you get after him? So shame on that rider, and I would probably beat his ass for that. Because when my horses are doing what they're asking, why would I punish them? I mean, that's ridiculous.
So that's an interesting thing, because a lot of this whole thing of punishing with a whip, is that how you view it? Because a lot of folks we talk to tell us that the whip doesn't really hurt the horse. These new ones are more like pool noodles. So
let me tell you what. Let me strap your ass with it, and you tell me.
Well,
Because you know
But you
what?
said he'll volunteer.
I said I volunteer to do that because
You know what? Here's the thing. Over excessive use is abuse. Do I think horses needed to remind them what their task is? Absolutely. I'm on board with that 1, 2, 3 second count, et cetera, et cetera. I'm okay with that. Do I think you're going boom, boom, boom? No, that's completely unnecessary. Because here's the thing, and they're right. Horses need a chance to respond to your whip. So that's what those counts are for. Did the horse respond to you? If he's not, okay, let's repeat that. And if he did, boom, now let's just flag him then. So yes, I'm 100% on board with that. I agree with that. Excessive use of the whip, I would use it on the jockey when he got back to the room. Trust me.
we are talking about horse racing now.
I'm sorry about that.
So my question, when they're far enough ahead, and I talk about this a lot, you see the jockeys sometimes that look back because they think they're far enough ahead and they end up getting beat, and then they get the criticism because they looked far. So how do you, I mean, you're a former jockey, how do you judge you're far enough ahead to look back?
Okay, well, and then I always love your questions. They're great. So, you do kind of do the old under the arm look. Also, you can sense it. You can feel it. You can feel the energy is different when you're so far ahead. It gets quiet for one thing, and then it kind of feels odd. So that's why you do check back. And so, but it's not the whole, you don't ever relax your body, and shame on the riders that do that, because I have seen them get caught at the wire for that. You still maintain your energy. You still maintain your hold. Look back underneath your arm. Don't do the whole this thing. It's unnecessary. And now you've lost the complete rhythm of your horse, and you're probably going to get caught at the wire if you're not far enough ahead.
Mm-hmm. I'm always happy when I see my jockey looking between their legs or looking underneath their arms, because I'm pretty sure that the jockey's confident they still have horse left, and they're looking for where they're coming from so they know who to hold off.
Yes, if you see a good rider out there, you're 100% correct. When you see a good rider out there who knows where he's at, he's got a good hold in his horse, he just checks underneath him, looks underneath, but he still maintains that tension, that pressure. So yeah, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. 100% agree with that.
I think Flavian Pratt could have ran the whole race like that with Flightline and still won the race.
Well, I'm relieved that they did retire Flightline. I mean, he's a fantastic, obviously, an athlete to speak about for years and years. But if you do watch that last race, he was fatigued, he was tired, and he did kind of bob and weave a little bit. And he needs. I'm glad they retired him. It was good for him. He showed everybody in the world what he can do, and that's good enough.
So here, kind of grandma's loading us up with questions. All right. So it says, do you think you're a good advocate for the sport? I'll answer that question for you. I'd say yes. I've been in the game, not you, but grandma, for about 4 years, and he reads a lot of negative stories, which is kind of the reason why we do what we do around here. There's a lot of negative, and we wanted to focus on the people and the game itself. But just kind of from that kind of sport, how do you feel that we can turn? And the other question was, do we need more advocates? How do you think we can turn? Sean has always come talking about this. I wasn't going to say complaining, but there's a lot of folks who are bigger names that regularly put forth as their lead stuff negative stories about the industry. And it seems to me like any business, there's good and bad. So how do we get the bigger names, if you will, not Sean and Rich, until maybe 5 years from now, but how do we get the bigger names to kind of maybe even that out a little bit so that they're talk just as much about the good as they do maybe about the bad?
And you're saying when they talking about it, are you talking about the reporters or et cetera, or are you talking about the trainers talking about the?
No, we're talking
about the media personnel.
Yeah.
So like if you look on Twitter, a lot of times some of the bigger name people or some of the bigger websites, I would say probably a majority of the stories are more with an eye towards like what's not right.
Okay. All right. So I see what you're saying. So here's the thing. Nobody likes a winner, right? They're usually jealous of the winners. Everyone wants to bring everyone down because they want to say there's no way they could be that good. There's no way that person's doing as well as they are. There's no way they could have a horse like that. Of course they're doing doping. Of course they're doing this and that. And it's a shame that they have those kind of people advocating, or not advocating, obviously not, that they have those type of people reporting for the sport, because unless you really understand the sport, there's always going to be some jackass out there that's wanting to report the negativity of it. And I'll tell you what, you walk down the track, and I look at this every day and I always marvel at it. I cannot tell you how well these horses are treated, how beautiful they look, how well they eat, how they have a really glamorous life. And people, when they really care about their horses, this is the way they look. And the horses wind up in really great homes. And so shame on those people who are always trying to bring down the dark side of whatever they think the dark side is. And do you think Bob Baffert got to where he's at today by not being a horseman? He started as a jockey himself. He knows the sport, but people want to say there's no way in hell he can do it the right way. There's no way in the hell he's a genuine, honest man. You know what? Bob Baffert, leading trainer of the Kentucky Derby, the Triple Crown wins. Come on. So I understand what you're saying when you say people are like poking their fingers in the bear, so to speak. But at the end of the day, you have to have the horse to win the race. Drugs are not always going to be the answer, and not are they ever the answer. You can do, as an outsider, we need to see that. So as an outsider, what is she saying? As an outsider, she needs to see what?
Oh no, this is an outsider. We need to see more outsiders, I guess, is what they're saying into the sport.
No,
as an outsider. We need as an outsider, you seem more positive. Okay, I get it. Yeah, okay.
Right.
So yes,
See more of what you're talking about.
Right,
Yeah,
because,
Barry, this is the kind of question I really don't want to ask, because you're asking, to put people under the bus that they're not here to defend themselves. We're the most conceited, arrogant trainers that are likely totally standoffish.
You know what? We really, okay. And I can understand that, because maybe in the media they come across that way. Maybe they look a little snooty or whatever, but you got to realize they've got hundreds of thousands of dollars of one horse standing in their barn that someone's paid probably $1.25 million. Can you imagine walking around with the pressure of that, knowing you're going to lead this horse up to the paddock? Do you think you're wondering like, hey, do I look friendly today? Oh my God, no, you're worrying like, holy shit, I'm hoping that I'm proving this horse that I've done this horse right by the owner, by the jockey, that you're coming out here and you're giving this horse 100% chance. But you think everyone's got 100 and thousands of dollars to throw away at horses? That's a lot of pressure. And you know what? It's not them being snooty. It's just the pressure of the business, the pressure to perform, the pressure to do well for your owners, because the owners are believing in you. The owners are saying, you know what, CC Perkinson, I know you can get my horse to the next level. And to go to the track and saddle your horse, you're hoping to God that you actually prove them right. So
everybody can't make it look as easy as Sean does.
Yeah, right. No, I'll say to CC's point too, and this is a high five to John Sadler. John Sadler was harassed for a month before Flightline, and he was also 1 for 54 coming into the Breeders' Cup. So the pressure for John Sadler had to be enormous. And he was almost every time he worked out, he was interviewing with FanDuel TV. He was interviewing with everybody, and he was as nice as can be. So there was a lot of pressure.
At the end of the day, yes, the pressure is there. But at the end of the day, like when you find someone like John Sadler, and matter of fact, Prince Ali came from John Sadler's barn, and Prince is my baby, as you know. So when you really believe in your horses, and you believe in the sport, and you believe in your team, you're going to be gracious. The pressure is still in the back of your head and still in your mind. You know what's ahead of you. But when you're a horseman and you have that much confidence and faith and belief in the process, you're always going to be humble when it comes to interviews, because the humility is what you got to where you are in the industry.
Yeah, I would say just from our experience, because Sean and I, we're really nobodies in this business, and everybody that we've reached out to, at least so far, for the most part, 95% of the people, Sean, would you say, have been friendly and have
Absolutely.
been very accommodating?
Yes.
Well, and I because you know what, you cannot be in this kind of business, I don't think. And I'm not saying this is everyone's fantastic, so to speak, but
But we are.
Well, you guys are beyond fantastic. But at the horse track, it's a lot of damn hours. Like I got there at 5 this morning. I just got home at 6 o'clock so I could jump on and be with you guys. And I'm still, I do the stall cleaning, I do the grooming, I do the galloping, I do getting them prepped for the races. These are long hours. You have to like what you are doing. There's no way in the world you would be doing this if you didn't like it, didn't have compassion for your horses, and didn't understand the love that goes into it, that have the loyalty to the sport.
So when do you get time to just like have fun?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's the way you view your time with us, is fun. I appreciate that. But when you're not having fun with us once or twice a year, what do you do for fun? When do you find time to do anything?
A little bit of this.
That's water, or is that your vodka? I thought it
That's
was
my
water.
vodka Sprite.
All right, I thought the answers were getting a little bit
I
more.
will tell you this. I'll tell you this. This is 0 sugar vodka and 0 sugar Sprite. So I'm still doing the healthy stuff.
Indeed, and you'll feel a little bit better for it afterwards, no doubt about that.
So what time do you have to get up in the morning?
Well, tomorrow I'm working Prince Ali and I'm working Nip Nap. They're both going to go a half a mile at 8 o'clock. Laces is at 6. So I will start there probably 5:15. I'll be rolling in there. Gates don't open until 5 at the track, and training starts at 6 here at the track.
Sounds good. Well, any other questions, Sean? Because we always tell folks half an hour. It's been 50 minutes, and it always goes so fast with CC.
Now, did any question come through that look negative that we need to respond to that you clicked off of, or we need to look at? What do we have here?
No, I put everything through for the most part. There's a couple things, there's nothing in there that I wouldn't put up. Let's just put it that way. If I read them, and that's when you see me go like this because I'm blind and I can't see, so I have to go like that.
Questions come up and you clicked off them, but like I'm not afraid to answer anything, and I'm open. I need to really.
No, there wasn't anything.
Oh yeah, healthy alcoholic Pringle. There you go, Grandma.
Kevin Radke says, "Keep kicking butt, kiddo." Oh, one thing we were talking about. Charles was probably watching too, but we're thinking about. I think because our audience is growing, and we put this out there a couple times. And we've talked about maybe getting everybody to chip in and buy a horse. You're a horse owner. So how can we legally do that if we had like shares? Do you have any idea about how that works?
Absolutely. So yes. And so what we would do is like, let's just say everybody goes in, let's just say you had 10 people and everyone took 10% of the horse. And then that's something we could all do. We could name it after your show, or we could do something,
there's only one name we could have a horse if you were involved in. It would have to be CC's Red Pants. It couldn't be nothing else.
How awesome that would be.
That'd be incredible.
But yeah, so it would be syndicate shares and everybody can have a percentage of it. And that's really fun because let's just say you've got your followers and they're all over the United States, and each one of you have 10% of a horse is in my barn and you're all watching it together. I mean, how exciting is that? And that's fun. And that's completely doable. And so that's something we should always look at. Absolutely. Anybody that your followers, your questionnaires people is, we can all get something together.
That's something we want to do. So let's stay in touch about that, because every time I bring it up, we get about 4 or 5 people who say, I'm in. And I think we're going to have fun.
Let's just say you've got 4 or 5 people. Let's just say everyone takes 10%. Now we've got 50%. I'll tell you what, I'll go in and I'll match the 50 and we'll all do it together.
Well, we'll get Terry to do it because Terry's the big hitter.
Hey, where's our high rollers?
Yeah, we had Bob Krakenberger on.
Bill Krakenberger.
God, my Alzheimer's. But anyway, we had him on.
It's not Alzheimer's. It's Alzheimer's.
And we were talking about a horse one time. It was 20 grand. He's a professional gambler. You know what he did? He took his hand from below the screen and put it up on the screen. He had a $20,000 or $25,000 chip in his hand. So we'll reach out to him and see if he's interested in buying a horse.
Amen.
He doesn't bet on him.
Because I'm here till May at Turf. If we can get one good one here going for sure. Oh, look, I'm in. I like that one. And
that's Terry. He's the big roller I was talking about.
Terry. Hey, Terry, can you call me? Terry.
Oh, come on now. You're making me jealous.
Hey, you're the one with my red pants.
Yes, I wear them, in those times.
Oh, you guys, I always have so much fun with you.
Indeed. Well,
all
we
right,
certainly look forward to the next time we have some fun.
Yeah, so you know what? Let's get on board with Terry and that syndicate group. Let's get some people in. Grandma, she's in. Terry, we'll get Terry, and what's his John DeSilva? Good Lord.
He's in too. So.
Yeah, John's made full of money too. John's definitely in, right?
Yeah. All right, you guys. Well, get off my phone. I got things to do.
Indeed. Well, we look forward to the next time. We'll be in touch. As always, it's been fun.
You know what? On my website, you guys can post that web link. It's Perkinson Racing Stables. They can, if they want hats, wine, shirts, anything, send them to my website. And anything else, they can always reach out to me directly.
Fantastic. Well, look forward to talking to you again. As always, was fun today. I wasn't at a loss for words last time. You took the words right out of my mouth, but this time not. I was prepared for you. All right.
Now you know what to deal with, huh? Now you know what's coming at you.
Yes, I'm totally prepared. All right. Have a great night, CC. We'll talk.
You guys
soon.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
CC. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Sean, always fun as usual, right? Indeed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. You got your answer on doing that with the horse.
Yeah, it's something because every time we bring it up, just in passing, we get a person or two that says, "Yeah, I'm in," and I figure we got a community of enough people that we could probably, if we all chipped in, I don't know how much, but if you got $1,000 and 100 people chipped in $1,000, now you got $100,000 horse. You don't know what the hell you're going to end up with that, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if she knows how the law works and everything else, she can definitely help us with that, and we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, well, if we came to her, we got 100,000 CC. We told this dude match it. She probably there was no contract signed anyway. So that's it for this week, Sean. Wire to Wire on Wednesday. Tomorrow we had a pretty good day, Charles and I, today at Churchill Downs. Just couldn't connect races for me to hit the pick 4, but Charles did. But I got a lot of exactas and trifectas in there. We'll try that again tomorrow at Aqueduct. That'll be at 12 o'clock. And then on Friday, we'll do 4 on Fridays. Tom and I at Ascot at Australia. Saturday, Charles and I will be back to practice our craft at Del Mar. Monday, of course, Terry and I will be back at Parks. And you'll be back with the wonderful Miss Jamie Martinez. What do you guys got on tap for next week?
So we got Monday, we got trainer Kent Sweezy. Tuesday, we got jockey Maddie Rowland. And then Wednesday, we got outrider and aspiring jockey Kylie Wellington.
So, yeah. I like what you did today, Sean, with the video up on there on Facebook for our guest. You have a guest up on the Facebook link. You don't even know what you're looking at me like. Do we get?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Well, there's a video on there. I mean, you put the stuff up on there. How can you not know what's on there?
I don't know what.
Or are you drinking vodka too?
I might be lost here.
Let's see.
Or maybe you're lost. Maybe that Alzheimer's kicking in for you.
No, right here, man. We have Sophia Vives. I'll be our guest.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so
there's a little video there.
So Woodbine shared this video of Sophia Fives, and I just shared it. So, yeah, she will be your guest on Monday, January 2nd. Jamie spotted her right away. I mean, she won right out of the gate her first couple starts. She's at 4 wins and like 7 mounts. And one thing we'll find out in January, for whatever reason, after she got her 4th win, I know there's all this stuff with Apprentice. She actually had to stop. She'll start back up next year when Woodbine starts back up. But I don't know why the 4-win mark she had to stop. Maybe John could help us with that. John knows all the rules and stuff. But
maybe. Yeah. And maybe if we can get together a lawyer who would be interested in being a part of the syndicate so we can make sure that we get all that stuff done legally, I would be all for it. We have, like I said, the venue. I'm certain if we gave it like a 3-month window for what in the stock market world, they call it indication of interest. So maybe get a 2-3 month window, indication of interest. Once we have an idea of what kind of finances we're working with, somebody like John or somebody who knows horses like Charles can get off to the track, find us a nice 2-year-old, name it, and let's put that bad boy on the Derby trail, baby. We're going to the winner circle for real.
Well, I mean, if CC's Red Pants is available, I mean, that is perfect. So that'd be a perfect name. Also, I think, I'm not much of a traveling guy, as you found out with Saratoga and stuff, but I also think it would be cool, and that would bring it together, bring our community together, have a couple times a year maybe where everybody gets together and we meet people, with all the same passion and everything else. So, I definitely think it would be cool.
Drinks are on, Sean.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, that takes us wire to wire on this Wednesday for an hour, Sean. It's been a good show. Appreciate your company as always. Any final thoughts before we get up and get out of here?
No, I appreciate, I'm as much as I like Jamie next week, I miss you. You both are great guests.
Yeah. You just like that she gives you sincere compliments.
No, you give it to me now too. I don't get to give you guys the compliment, so maybe I should give you guys the compliment. Rich is the one. Rich is the one who does. I mean, your research is unmatched, like I say all the time. So, and you do all this back work that's never thanked or anything else. Never get patted on the back. So let's pat yourself on the back for all the stuff you did.
Patting myself on the back. So
okay, there you go.
All right then. All right. Thanks for joining us tonight. If you haven't, as always, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, on Facebook. Follow us on our social media sites. Sean does an excellent job of keeping everybody up to speed at Horse Race, the number 2 day. Horse Race Today. Help us out with the algorithms with the thumbs up on Facebook, on YouTube. We appreciate that as well. That wraps it up for tonight. So whatever you're doing between the time from now and the time we get back together tomorrow to try to find some winners at Aqueduct. We hope that your night, your evening, and everything else ends up in the
winner circle.
No break tonight?
No, the Blake's upstairs.
Good boy. All right, we'll see you tomorrow.